Welcome to Bits and Bytes extended version. In this episode, we're going to look at creating e-portfolios using Book Creator. So let's get started. Book Creator is a great platform to use for creating e-portfolios for young students, for middle school students, and even for high school students. An e-portfolio is basically a collection of student work in which the student is able to reflect on their work, celebrate their strengths, and look for ways that they can improve. So what I'm going to do is go through the process that I've used for creating a basic e-portfolio. Before you really get started, though, you're going to want to consider the age of your students, how often you want them to post into their e-portfolio, whether or not you want to use a template where every student's entries look the same, or you want to give your students the ability to create their own e-portfolio with guidance as they go. Once you've got all of those things clear, then you're ready to start. So, this is a basic cover that I've made for an e-portfolio. Obviously, you can have whatever you want on here and allow the students to be as creative as they wish, or to have something that's quite basic that looks the same for every student. When you as a teacher create a book like this e-portfolio, it will appear on every student's bookshelf in your class. On their bookshelf, they'll find their books as well as any books that you as a teacher have made. So, to go back to the basic portfolio, again, you might want to create this as an example for your students to see so that they can look at how they like to have their own e-portfolio, or you can use this as a template for your students. On the second page, I would suggest having some sort of an all about me page for the students to fill in with information about themselves, about things they're interested in, and things that they like doing. What I'm going to show you next is a number of different pages that might belong in an e-portfolio. This first page is a reflection page. Clearly there's space here to put the assignment name. Here's where the student would type. So here's what I want you to notice about my assignment. If they double click on this, it will open up the text box and they can go ahead and fill in what they want you to notice. You'll see here that they can bold, italicize, and underline their text. They can put links out to websites. They can change the color of the font, highlight it. They can put bulleted lists. They can add accents, especially helpful for students who are in the French immersion schools, as well as math characters. And the other thing that they can do is record their voice. And Book Creator will type out what they're saying. Obviously, it's not perfect. They'll have to go through and look at it and add punctuation and things, but it's a great start for those students who are quite young or who have difficulty getting their ideas down. Once they've finished what they want to do, they click done and their writing will show up here. So this particular page has 3 prompts. Here's what I want you to notice about my assignment. Here's why I'm proud of my assignment. And here's something I could have improved on. This is a placeholder for a picture or for video. You can see that I have it locked so that students can't move it around. But when they get to this, they click on it and know that this is a place they can put images or video or files that they want to have in their portfolio. In addition to all of that, students could, by clicking on this plus button, record their voice talking about the assignment. All they would do here is click the record button, start recording, and here they would say something about the assignment, about how they feel about it, about their thoughts. Then they could stop recording, listen to their recording to make sure it was okay, and if they liked it, click use. What that will do is give them this little sound button that they can add to their page. So this is one example of a page inside an e-portfolio. Another example of a page shows the progress a student has made from the first time they did something or when they were first learning it to this. This could be something like learning to shoot a basketball into a hoop, or learning to draw something, or showing their understanding of multiplication, or their ability to print their name, or any number of things. And again, you can add the speaker in so the child or student can talk about their thoughts about the progress they made from the first time till now. Again, these are placeholders, and you can see I've locked these parts of the template down so that the student cannot move them or change them. In order to do that, when something is clicked on, or sorry, when you have the little blue action balls around it here, you go to the I for information, and you can see there's a lock and unlock button there. The other elements in here are not at this point locked, so the student can change them. So for instance, they can go here and change the title. This is another type of page that you could have in an ePortfolio. This is a performance page, whether the student is performing a Reader's Theatre in class, or performing at the Christmas concert, or perhaps performing in band. This is a place where you could put a video. Again, it's a placeholder, or a picture of the student performing. Here you can actually have a speaker of them talking, or even a speaker of them singing a song or playing their instrument. And then I've added in a couple of little sentence starters to help students understand what they could possibly put here. This is a type of page students could add in if they were giving an explanation of something they'd learned. So this might be, again, a video or a picture of something they learned. Maybe they learned how to plant a seed. Maybe they learned how to identify rocks. Whatever it is that they've learned, they can put in a video or a picture and a small explanation of what they learned. Here's a page that could be used by a student for goal setting. So they might put their goal here. For this term, their goal is to be on time for school every day. Here are the steps they're going to take. And then here I've just put all of the months in the first term, and each month the student could put in a little emoji indicating how they felt they did. They could also record their voice talking about how they did, working towards their goal that month. And at the end of the month, they could perhaps put in another little piece of writing, or even a picture or video of themselves talking about how they feel they did with their goal. Another page that could go into the ePortfolio, and that would be very helpful in communicating student learning, is some sort of a page about the competencies. So at the top here, you can see I have the 3 competencies: communication, thinking, and personal and social. And maybe in term 1, your class was really focusing on communication or thinking. So here I have a sentence: this term I demonstrated creative thinking when the student could finish filling that in. Again, they can record their voice talking about it. They could add a picture in. There are a number of different ways that you could structure this page. To begin the process of creating ePortfolios for your students, you want to begin by creating a library for your class. So once you're logged into your Book Creator account, you would go here to create a new library, and you're going to give the library a name. Maybe it's your division that year. And maybe in this library, you're just going to have the students put their ePortfolio. I would suggest that you allow students to search for images while they're in Book Creator. This is a safe image search so that they can't get anything that is copyrighted or that's unacceptable for them to be looking for. I would suggest you let them edit their own books. Whether or not you want them to read each other's books, that's really up to you. For an ePortfolio, I would suggest that maybe we don't do that, because you want students to be honest and forthright in their ePortfolios, and they might not be if other students are looking. I would also therefore turn off collaboration. Please turn off publish books online. That's something that you can do with them. And then add comments and spell check. I would say those are things you're probably going to want to leave. Then create your library. So from here, this is my library. I'm going to open it up and go ahead and add my students. And you're going to go up to your little icon here and do student logins. And we want to add more students. And the quickest thing here is just to copy and paste in a list of your students with their first name and last initial only if it's actually needed. So you're going to add them in. I'll go ahead and add myself in here. You don't need to add yourself as a teacher. I'm just adding myself as a pretend student. And yes, you want them going into their ePortfolios to join their ePortfolios. And then what's going to happen is it's going to generate either a QR code or a download link for those students. I would suggest using the QR code at all times for students, regardless of their age. It's just a quicker way for them to get into their own library without needing to have a username or a password. So I would print the QR codes off for your students. If you have older students, have them save that QR code somewhere safe where they're not going to lose it. If you have younger students, probably best for you to actually print the QR codes out quite large. I would laminate them or put them inside page protectors and keep them all in one spot so the students can go over and scan their QR code with their iPad. Right now, I have no libraries in this book, no books in this library. So what I want to do is start new book. Now, here's where you have a choice. As a teacher, you can either create a template of an ePortfolio that has pages similar to the ones I showed you that you would have each student make a copy of, or you could have an ePortfolio that's just an example that students could get an idea from. Or you could have a bit of a combination where students are making their own ePortfolio, but occasionally you will give them a page to put into their ePortfolio. Regardless of how you do it, I would suggest that you go with landscape for the book size and use landscape comic because it has some affordances in it that the other versions don't have. So from here, if you're going to create a template for your students so that they all are going to make a copy of, you're going to do things like put placeholders. So here you might say names, something like this, and this might go here. And then you're going to leave it like this for the student to double click on when they've made a copy to change this so it has their own name. You might want to put a placeholder in here for them to put a picture, maybe a picture they've drawn of the school or a picture of themselves. So the way you put a placeholder in for a video or a photo is you go plus, and this is where using the comic book version comes in handy. We'll go down here to the panes and click the single one. Right now it's locked. I'm going to unlock it and shrink it so that it's a more manageable size for this particular page, and then lock it again. And then when it comes time to putting their portfolio together, students, you can say to students, when you get to one of these, you click on it. If there's a plus sign, then we're going to add something in, like a video or an image or something like that. So that could be all that you put on. You could put your school logo down here. You could put your division, the year, anything you want. And you could, as I said, make this a portfolio that all the students will get a copy of, or you could make this a suggestion one for your students to use. From there on, the pages would be whatever you decide. And you could, again, create a template where they're copying, or you could say something, you could just put a suggestion in for them and say something like, use this page to tell me something about you. And then once they've added all their things onto the page, they could actually delete this. The way you delete something is when the little blue dots are on it, you go over to the I for information button and you just delete. So once they've put on this, whatever they wanted to show you about themselves, they could just delete the little comment you'd put and move on to the next page. And again, it's up to you how often you want the students to do these portfolio assignment pages, whether you want to use a template or whether you want the students to create their own. If you want it to be a template and you want things to look a specific way, then any type of text that you add in, so I'm going to add a text box here. What I would say is just put in here what you want them to write. So tell me how you counted to 1,000 by tens, something like that. Or it could be show me how you counted. This then just can tell them what you want them to do, or it can be a placeholder for them to do more typing. This you don't necessarily want to lock down. If you lock it as text, they can't open it up and change it. Anything else you want to add in? Maybe you want to add a shape here. Maybe a Unifix cubes. Oh, nothing shows up there. Sorry. Let's try just cubes. There we go. So maybe you want to add something like that in. If you want that to stay in that spot, then you would go and lock it. And if you don't want anybody to unlock it, prevent unlocking. If you're okay with the kids unlocking it and moving it around, you can leave it like that. Really up to you. So add in whatever you want, and then the students can modify. So if I were a student using this template, I could come in and I could change the color of the page, and I could maybe add in some pictures or some sound of my own, and then I could also do the parts you'd left for me. So let's assume that you want to create a template that your students are then going to copy and follow throughout the year. You're going to begin by creating the template in the class library where you want the students to keep their e-portfolios as well. So here's the template that I've created. The students then will sign into that library, and underneath the book that you've created, which they will see, they're going to click this little set of books here, these 3 little books. From there, they're going to choose copy book. What that will do is make a copy of the book that they can then edit. The copy that you see here, your copy, is a read only for them. Once they've made their own copy of it, they can start to edit it and use it themselves. Now, obviously, if you're teaching really small people, you may need to do this process with them, maybe call them aside one at a time, get them to copy the book, or ask an older student, maybe a grade 6 or 7 student, to come in and help you do that during lunch one day. There are a variety of ways that you can do this to help yourself so that the book can be copied to each student. Obviously, if they're older and they can follow the steps, then they can do this part on their own. So that's the way you would give students the book if you're going to create a template. On the other hand, if you want students to just create their own e-portfolio, all they need to do is go into the library, click New Book, and choose Landscape, and then go ahead and get started with any instructions that you might have for them. You might have those instructions written up each week on the board somewhere, or in a slide you show them. And again, you may choose to have them publish their portfolio once a week, once a month, once a term. At the end of the term, you may say to them, okay, I want you to look back through your work and choose your best example of literacy, your best example of numeracy that we did, maybe a piece of artwork that you're proud of, maybe some type of reflection on science or social studies, a recording of yourself speaking French, whatever it is that you want them to put in. You can structure that by just giving them a list and let them then go about creating the e-portfolio as however they like it to be. Or you can, as I said before, give them very specific instructions or a template. There may be some cases where you're using a template and you have a page that you want to add to your students' templates, to their books, sorry, or where your students are creating their own books, but you have a specific page you want everybody to add in because maybe you've gone to a field trip or something special has happened. So let's look at how we do that. So here I have a picture that I took at our field trip to the aquarium, and I want the students to talk maybe a little bit about their experiences at the aquarium. So I've put in the picture of the jellyfish that I took that the students probably don't have access to, and I've put a title in, and I would like this page to go into every student's portfolio as the next page in their portfolio. So the way that I do that once I've created the page is I go here to Pages, and I'm going to click the little Timbits or snowman down here at the bottom, the set of 3 dots. I'm then going to say Copy To. What I do next is I find the library that I want to copy it to. So let's imagine that this is my class library. I'm going to click on it, and this would be a list of every student's book. So instead of seeing all of my name here, you would see each student in your class, you would see their ePortfolio. And so if you want to copy it to everybody's pages, you just click up here and click Copy Page. And go ahead and say yes. And what that will do is copy that page into each of their books, the next page to come up. Now, if you only wanted to copy it into certain students, you saw that I could, instead of choosing everybody in that, I could have chosen maybe just say these 3 students because the other students didn't go on the field trip or didn't participate in whatever it is you want them to reflect on. So choose the students you want, either the whole class or some of the class, and then copy the page to them. What will happen then in their book is that this page will go into their book as the very next page for them to work on. I hope you now understand how easy it is to create ePortfolios within Book Creator. If at any point you want me to come in and help you work with your class to get started, please just send me an email and let me know, and I'm happy to do that.